Up, everybody? Welcome to the CanesInSight Daily Podcast, powered by Andrade and Levine Accident Attorneys. We are live at Duffy's Tavern in the heart of West Miami, 57th Avenue. A Canes iconic establishment, as you can see from behind us, being renovated with the times while still keeping that old school flavor. It is the spot. Football starts this weekend. We got college football, pro football starting soon. Of course, the Canes starting next week. There's no place I know that Pete would rather be, that I would rather be, than Duffy's Tavern for football weekends, just to watch all these games. It's an unbelievable experience. Feel like you're back in 1987. Pete, how are we feeling right now?
Feeling good, man. I can get used to these Friday mornings at Duffy's. It gets me excited for the weekend of football here. We got the Ireland game. Last year was an awesome start to the college football season with the way that Florida State started their season over there. But no, man, love being here at Duffy's, and I was here earlier this week as I normally am at some point, grabbing a bite. So love being over here and excited to be partnering up with them for the season.
Pete, I know you watch all these exotic Czechoslovakian soccer games and all this weird stuff. So you go to sports bars sometimes, you talk to the bartender, the waitress, try to put a game on. It's like they've never even heard of sports. It is an epidemic in this country. One of the things that bothers me the most in the world, when you go to a sports bar, they don't know what to do. So Duffy's got an old school solution right here, Pete. I know you've used this one before. So walk me through this.
This is like you go to a sports bar and you ask for a game, and they never have it on. And then they're like, oh, what channel is it? And then if it's something on CBS Sports Network, there's no chance you're getting that because they're putting on CBS. You guys can see right here, there's a full list and calendar. You got CFL on here. You got PFL, MMA, you've got baseball, golf, you've got everything that you can. I was here earlier. Oh wow, they have Champions League qualifiers. They've got it all. I'm telling you, I've utilized this thing before, and it's one of America's great problems is not being able to get the correct game on a television, the sports bar, but that's not an issue here at Duffy's.
Yeah, the spot to be, man. The menu's got some classics, but some renovations, some new stuff as well. It's the absolute best. Shout out to Jose, shout out to Junior, shout out to the whole team. Temmy's saying, good morning, D-Money and Pete. D-Money, tell Pete he inspired me to go get a new weighted vest. Let's go Canes. You're inspiring the masses.
This is not the first or second time I've gotten that message, man. So any weighted vest companies out there, you want to sponsor the show, let me know, man. I will be here at Duffy's drinking my beer with a weighted vest on. A little counterintuitive, but I'll wear one every single show if we get a sponsor.
Martin Dubé, live from Botswana, says, Pete will one day come with me to Barberfield Stadium in Bulawayo, Zimbabwe, to watch the Highlanders versus the Dynamos, the big soccer derby. I know that's on your bucket list.
I will take you up on that, Martin.
So, question here. From Canes 305, will you guys be at the Miami Hurricane team store today for the Cristobal autograph session? I will be there. We'll do a show. I'll at least do a show. I think you're available. We'll see. We'll do a show in the afternoon there before around 2 or something like that. Just another one because we got to do 2-a-days here. I know 2-a-days are illegal for the football team, but we're doing 2-a-days out here. And then I will be just hanging out at the team store. But yeah, obviously you want to go to the team store. Mario Cristobal autograph signing, Miami Hurricane team store next to the Thesis Hotel today, Friday, 4 to 5 p.m., right there in front of the University of Miami, next to the Thesis. Meet Mario, hang out. It's going to be an unbelievable event, meet and greet with the coach, the head man. Doesn't do that often, so take advantage of this opportunity, 4 to 5 p.m. at the Hurricane team store. So, Pete, question that we get all the time is when it comes to the Notre Dame series, the Notre Dame game, really a series, because every game with Notre Dame, can we stop the run and can we run on them? So on the first part of the question, stopping the run, I feel more than anything, maybe wide receiver, the other one, I get more questions on the defensive tackle position than any other position on the team. I know there's one name that when I talk to sources, when I'm in practice, I get a lot. And you talking to sources, talking to scouts, just seeing the guy walking around, his name's come up a lot too, and that's David Blay, the transfer from Louisiana Tech.
Yeah, he's really done a good job transforming his body. I mean, added 20 to 25 pounds, so had really good film, as we've referenced multiple times here on the show, against NC State, Arkansas, which me talking to the scouts, those are the games that they are judging him off of. They They don't necessarily care that he was first team all conference at Louisiana Tech. It's going to be those games against teams that have linemen that look more like they're going to look at the next level that they're judging him off of. But still, even, at that rate, was looking like, over the summer, third, fourth round type of range. And I think that when scouts now, because as you know, D, a lot of the scouts were here in the spring, but they'll come by again now and get a real look in fall camp of guys who have taken the next step, transfers who are at other places. And Blay is someone that they've been impressed with, just the body type, adding the weight that he has. So up over 300 pounds, has a lot of strength, plays with a lot of strength. And I think, I don't want to put words in your mouth here, but I think we are both in agreement that he is going to be Miami's most impactful defensive tackle this season.
Yeah, certainly against the run, I think. And he can rush a passer too. I think the run is where he's really going to shine, taking on double team, just being rugged. He's somebody who, I heard when he gets on you, his ability to use balance to kind of just move around, be hard to block, is where he excels. It's not just about, beating the guy up the snap and getting in the backfield. He can do that a little bit too, but really when he's on you, he has that ability to just use his body leverage. I don't know if he's a wrestler in the past, but it's that kind of thing where he has that ability. And it's interesting to talk about gaining weight and gaining strength. Usually you don't talk about that with a transfer who's been in college for so long. This is a guy who didn't get recruited out of high school, went D3, I believe, did not go FBS, and then transferred to Louisiana Tech. So he's very much an unfinished product and an arrow up kind of guy. You mentioned the scouts. I talked about how when 247 went up to that personnel summit, which is like all the top college personnel guys in the country meeting for like a conference, that everybody that 247 talked to, not Miami 247, this is the national 247. Everybody they talked to said the defensive prospect, I should say, that they wish that they had gotten for their team was David Blay. That was an eye-opening conversation. This was national guys. This was not Miami guys. David Blay was a name. Eric Singleton on offense, David Blay on defense, according to all these personnel guys. So a name that we don't talk about a ton, but then I think when we talk to people around the program, when we talk to people in the scouting community, it's just a name that comes up. I mean, you would expect him at least to be a day 3 pick, right?
Yeah, I think kind of seeing how well he moves with the added weight will be what determines how high he goes. And then I think with him too, just one of the reasons I think people around the program are excited about him, D, is yes, you want your D tackles to have a little bit of a loose screw, but you also see a lot of really big time talented players at that position not fulfill their potential because they aren't at the same time where they need to be mentally. This is a dude that is very mature, has been a great addition to that room in that sense. And obviously by the work he's done with his own body shows you he's very serious about the game. And just I've heard good things in terms of the character part of it, which is nice to hear.
We have some comments about how this guy, David Blake, compares to Simeon Barrow from Nick Isaac, the transfer from last year from Michigan State. Now, Simeon Barrow was first team All ACC. So that's a very successful transfer. I know the defense as a whole kind of didn't come together, but he did his part. I do think that with Blake, sturdier at the point of attack, more able to hold on double teams, more able to kind of fight for his spot, as opposed to Simeon Barrow was very much an upfield player, a quick player. The guy gained weight in college to get to where he was, and he was still undersized. And I don't even know if he got did he get a UDFA, Simeon Barrow? I didn't see it.
With the Falcons,
I believe. But he didn't get drafted, whereas Blay, I think, probably more of an NFL type player.
Can I bring something up very randomly that I haven't dropped this nugget? But I'm hearing that Anthony Campbell has made an impression at the Seahawks, and it looks like he might stick around as a practice squad player for them this year.
It's amazing, some of these guys that they just don't fit necessarily.
Who wasn't even a UDFA guy. They brought him in technically as like a rookie mini camp tryout, which is not even a guarantee. So it goes to show you what some of these body types, do for you in terms of the draft stuff. But yeah, Barrow, he was definitely with the Falcons, but I don't know if he's still there.
And you wish we got a little more out of Anthony Campbell, just the body type, man. When you have guys like that in the building, you got to get something out of him. By the way, Steve Munch, you know this guy? I'm mispronouncing the name. I know he's a scouting guy on McShay's show, was raving about Blay this week. Yeah, so Blay, again, I think he gets more hype nationally and inside the building than maybe he does on these shows. Maybe it's our fault. I wanted to make sure we highlighted him and talked about what he does. Obviously, going against Notre Dame, they can run the football. is the kind of topic of the show today, right? Can we stop the run? I think it starts right there with David Blay. Another name that we get a ton of questions about, Kyle noting that this year's defensive tackles are much bigger. Last year's were small with Barrow and Messidor. Obviously, Messidor right now is playing the boundary defensive end, which is like our smaller defensive end. So our smaller defensive end, and he's pretty big for that position at 260, but relative to Bain on the other side and Armando Blunt on the other side, Messidor's the smaller guy now that he's gotten more to his natural weight, lost weight. We had him and Barrow, who was too small for the NFL. So we really, even though I don't think we were horrible stopping the run last year, statistically, we actually were not that. That was not like our biggest weakness. It was getting pushed around. It was more about the confusion on the back end, the too much stunting up front in the pass, lack of secondary talent. Those were the real main factors in our struggles, more so than like we just got big boyed up front. We also were small. So I think that's a good point there by Kyle, that we've gotten bigger. And one of those guys, Justin Scott. So Albert McKinney asking, Justin Scott, how's he looking? We need to dominate. This is the defensive tackle, top 10 player overall in the country out of Chicago, Illinois. Guy who played running back a little bit as a senior. His highlights are insane. Played some basketball. Really athletic. Got here late. Got here this time last year in August. Got here in summer, but didn't practice till August. Didn't have spring. Still played last year in spurts, but now, of course, being relied upon for a huge role. I think the thing with Justin Scott is when you see him, talk about Blay getting bigger. Justin Scott went from looking like a kind of a basketball player type body when he got here late to now, and he didn't get here late because of anything he did wrong. It was just the Catholic school he was at didn't let him graduate, similar like a Bryce Fitzgerald. But now with the full year, he just looks bigger. He looks like a top 10 player in the country just when you just look at him, how much he's developed to go along with his athleticism.
Yeah, I think it's just about consistency with him, and that's what it is with a lot of these young, talented defensive tackles. He's the sort of guy that I think you'll see flash across your screen a bunch this year. He's going to have some wow moments for sure, especially I think in the pass rush and just that the quick first step that he brings. You just want to see it consistently from him, I would say.
What he reminds me of, maybe not as tall, but I think of like a Caleb Banks at UF. And Caleb Banks looks like $1 million, very athletic, didn't do anything against Miami, completely neutralized, but did have very good second half of the year tape against the SEC teams he played, projected late first, early second, maybe even a higher first round pick, depending how he plays. I think with Justin Scott, Justin Scott's a second-year player. Caleb Banks is entering his fifth year, so Caleb Banks was a very, very slow burn. Hopefully Justin Scott's a first-rounder in the NFL by that point. But those guys that are big and athletic, they always, if they're working hard, even in Banks' cases, I don't know if he's a hard worker, he's just getting older. But as they mature, man, those guys with that pure ability just get so much better over time and impact the game. So Justin Scott, I think my biggest concern, not concern, but just thing I'm looking for with him is like, just get him on the field. Let him play, let him make plays, and he's going to play a ton this year. He's either going to be a starter or the first one off. Those three are basically interchangeable starters. We'll talk about Moten in a second. But like, I think the more he plays, the more plays he makes, he's going to start looking like that first rounder, because the Caleb Banks of the world, those guys that just don't have, those guys that have those physical characteristics other people don't have, they're rare. And Justin Scott, certainly in that category, I think he's going to have a really, really impactful year. The more he plays, I think the better he's going to get.
Talk about a lot of these guys who they put on weight. One of those guys who dropped weight is Ahmad Moten, who said he played last year around 310, 312, down to the 300, 305 range. And I think it was Eric McLean who said that Moten was someone who really impressed him with his quickness getting into the backfield. So, people who have been around who aren't, necessarily Miami people have gotten excited about him. And you mentioned it's going to kind of be a three-man rotation there.
Oh, yeah, no question. The other guy there is Ahmad Moten, like you mentioned. I interviewed him for Storm Sessions. He did an unbelievable job on that. He was really, really cool guy to talk to his family. A lot of personality, a lot of just positive energy out of Moten. He's a lively guy, which is, you like those defensive tackles. Some of them are going to be quiet. Some of them are going to be nasty kind of guys, at least on the field. And some are going to be more of those kind of effervescent guys that make plays. I put Moten in that category. He's just a lot of energy. He's slimmed down. He looks like he's a big player naturally, but he's slimmed down. He's going to be very, very disruptive in the backfield. I think you talk to people and you ask, who's the best pass rusher? Who's the best first step? The name I hear the most is Ahmad Moten. And this is somebody who has been here 4 years. So he's mature in terms of his body, mature in terms of his mind. He just had a son. So I think all the arrows are pointing up with Ahmad Moten. And he's someone that talked to people again in the building, very, very excited what he can do. And I think his role is going to be very much quickness, getting a field, causing havoc with that first step, which is what he brings to the table. I think it's pretty different.
Kyle asking if Moten can be a late round draft pick. I never discount anything with defensive tackles, especially someone like him who is a good athlete. So yeah, I don't see why not. It's not necessarily a position that you need a ton of production to get drafted. And if we're talking about a late round draft pick, he's got the talent to be that. It's just he's had limited film to this point, right? And in his career, if you're a scout, but he's definitely on the radar.
Yeah, no question. I mean, with his ability to get in the backfield, rush the passer, the things he does well are the things the NFL tends to value. Those 350-pound pluggers are kind of out of style in the NFL. It's much more about your athletic ability, your ability to make guys miss, in terms of just being hard to block, being quick, and getting upfield. I think Moten brings you that with NFL size. His brother got, I think, a cup of coffee. He was on the Dolphins practice squad, I want to say. He was in camp and had a chance there. But with Ahmad, I think he has more athletic ability than his brother, and that's going to give him a better chance to get to the NFL, although, of course, nothing will make him get a better chance for the NFL than having a great season here for the Miami Hurricanes at defensive tackle. And I think he can. I think those three, you're going to be in very good shape. And then you get to the fourth one, and it's going to be an experienced guy. But one thing we talk about is I've heard people say, we don't have an experienced fourth defensive tackle. We don't have a guy on the fourth defensive tackle that what they're going to do. They're all young guys that are more improving. And what I say to that is there's no team in America that has a proven fourth defensive tackle. That doesn't exist. That's not how this thing works. The reason is because of the portal, your depth transfers out and gets paid a lot of money, particularly the defensive tackle position. You saw Josh Horton, who didn't even play here, he was always hurt, transferred to Georgia because they need as many guys as they can get. Texas paid a ton of money for a lot of kind of very average defensive tackles. They got the guy from Syracuse, which is a solid player, good freshman. But everybody else that they got doesn't really play for the team that they got them from. They're like, these are legitimately average to below average players, just they had the body type that they needed because Texas needed bodies. This Texas is the number one team in the country ranking-wise. So everybody has this issue. Alabama, Ohio State, all kind of fighting for this. Texas took Ohio State's top backup. Not even top backup. Texas took Ohio State's backup. They got Hero Khan, and we did a whole video on it for group chat. He didn't even play. He wasn't even in the rotation, really. So that's what's the lay of the land at defensive tackle. So for Miami, you just got Damian Lewis as defensive tackles coach. Miami, great. And you are hoping that he's going to get one of these young guys, and we'll go through all four of them, ready to play. Kyle pointing out Clemson lost their fourth defensive tackle to Michigan, Trey Williams. That's just how it is, man.
And I'll say, too, that it's another point we've brought up a lot, but you're going to see a lot of Ruben Bain. You're going to see a lot of Blunt in pass rushing situations there. And just talking to people inside as much as I've said it a bunch, I know you've maybe you've said it. I don't want to put a take out there that you haven't actually made, but this defense is not really looking for 325-pound defensive tackles. That's not what Corey Heatherman wants. The question, I guess, becomes once you get into those games eventually that you're facing some teams that have the guys inside, like a Clemson, like some of these teams that you'd potentially see in the playoffs, then is that going to be enough? Are you going to be able to maneuver that? That's a question I guess we can talk about down the line.
But look, in the first game, we're going to be playing the best running game we're going to play all year. Yeah. I mean, Clemson up front, to me, is weak. I think Clemson's run offense and run defense, in my opinion, are subpar. I don't think they're as physical as they're being made out to be in the press. 90th against the run on defense, and their offense, they just lost Phil Maffa. I don't think they're going to run the ball particularly well. Their offense is so good, they'll be effective at times, but they're not going to line up and pound you. So I think really Notre Dame is the team. In Florida, they're whatever, average. So really Notre Dame is the team that's going to be able to run the ball on anybody in the country. Can you stop that run? And again, I think you can do it.
Got a comment here, D.
Oh, look at that from Jose Toledo Jr. Thought he was working out here. He's running this place. We're about to open. Place looks phenomenal. He just put up a baseball giant thing over there. He's got all the UTVs coming in. He's got enough stuff to do, Jose, and he's still tuning in to the show while he's working there at Duffy's in the back. He says,
Did we mention that? The new TVs.
Oh, yeah.
Next week.
New TVs. By the way, Jose is not just the general manager of Duffy's Tavern, also football coach, the #1 academic institution in South Florida, Belen Jesuit. He says, interesting that the DT or edge body type are very different than in the league. That is D-Lou and JT's vision. That's right. Again, these are all different sports and different roles. And I think what's interesting here, to Jose's point, is, we have multiple defensive end body types, and some of those defensive end body types can play inside. And I think before we even get to Dante Simpson, Artavius Jones, Dalen Russell, guys like that, I got to highlight Armando Blunt, because I really believe that his ultimate position is going to be defensive tackle. He's only 18 years old. He's already big and physical. He's already knocking top offensive linemen on their butt. Former shot put placer at State as a freshman. Just a ton of power. He's like, I don't know, he's 265 right now, and the guy's got a six-pack. He's 100%, in my view, a future inside guy, just because of not because he can't play outside, just because of how dangerous and dominant he could be inside. We know pass rushers, interior, get paid more in the NFL. Look at Kalijah Cansey, who's small. Armando Blunt's way bigger than him, and that guy just got picked first round, making an impact for the Bucs. So the ability to rush the passer, be explosive, I think is big. But some people are going to hear that and say, oh, does that mean Armando Blunt's too slow to play outside? Pete, you know this. I mean, I think if you lined up Armando Blunt, Ruben Bain, and Mesidor, the defensive ends that he's competing with, I think he wins that race. I mean, Ruben Bain's a stud. He's going to be, in my opinion, the best edge in the country. I'm not saying anything negative about him. I'm just saying in terms of like a race, like a lineup, I think Blunt's the fastest of all three of those guys.
Yeah, I don't know that it's particularly close either.
Yeah, he can run. You said, you reported on the work that he was running with linebackers in practice.
Yeah, outrunning them. So again, you can make your guesses as to who he is outrunning. I think there's some guys there that he's not going to outrun, but
yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. Bucks of Plenty says, I think Mr. Bain will get passed up. I would not bet on that, man. You talk to people around the program about Ruben Bain and just what I've seen in practice. It's not just can he get back to being Ruben Bain that we know and that we saw in flashes last year. I think this guy could be the best player in the country on the defensive side of the ball, Ruben Bain. So I wouldn't be too concerned about old Ruben Bain. I think he is going to be just fine. He's an outstanding player. But yeah, so Hayden Lowe's another one that can work inside as well. There's a few. Bain, Mesidor. I think Mesidor probably with his weight loss, you want to keep him outside. Although he played tackle last year, so obviously he can't do it. But the pure defensive tackles, Pete, these are guys that I think are on the right track, being coached well. We got, let's say there's four of them. I want to start with Dante Simpson, true freshman, guy you don't want to rely on. But, man, he did a really, really nice job in spring when I first saw him. Worked through some injuries, now fully healthy, quick, big, really, to me, a hit as a three-star defensive tackle, and someone that he's only, to me, going to get better and better.
Yeah, really, really like his upside. I think who was it, On3 just put him as a preseason freshman All-American, which, that might be a bit ambitious, I think, just because I don't know that he's going to play enough to get like freshman All-American type numbers. I think personally, I still think he's the favorite to be we'll call it DT5 in terms of the snaps, because we're talking about all these other guys, but I think he's, in terms of pure defensive tackles, he's probably going to be the fourth one up. He's I think shown enough to this point that they feel comfortable, especially, again, I don't know how much he's going to play against a Notre Dame, but you get into this, second, third games of the year, you can start to rotate a little bit more, and maybe by that Florida game, he's a real part of that rotation. But I think, body type wise, he's put on a lot of good weight. He's still a baby in a sense. He's one of those younger guys. So year or two from now, I think this is a guy who's a very big part of this defensive tackle rotation for Miami. Look, not everyone's going to be a top 10, future top 10, top 15 pick. I'm not limiting what his potential is, but at the same time, you need to get good players at important spots like D tackle. And like you said, in terms of a hit, he's not a bust. He's got something to him. So what the ceiling is, we'll see here over time. But it's nice to think that he's going to be, I think, a part of that rotation.
Yeah, and I want to then focus on two guys that are different type of players, which are Tavius Jones out of Blountstown, Florida, there in the Panhandle, Dalen Russell out of Miami Columbus, Pete's alma mater, Cristobal's alma mater. So with Jones, he kind of reminds me of Tommy Kinsler, another guy who came from not exactly the same part of Florida. Kinsler's from Ocala, north central Florida. Jones is from the Panhandle, but just guys that I think are they're more rural areas. They're just like they're going to develop to me later, and they're going to be really, really, really impactful players because of their physical ability, because of their athleticism, the IQ. They're guys that I think it's going to be a slower burn, but when it burns, it's going to burn bright. Tommy Kinsler, you're seeing that this year, right, as far as coming into his own. I think Jones is on that trajectory. But again, it's not a guy who went to Miami Central. There's not a guy who went to St. Thomas Aquinas. So it takes a little bit of time to acclimate. I think the reward will be very good there. Dalen Russell, the guy, did go to a big school in a big city. And I think with him, it was more about his body. He was a really, really good player for Columbus. Stand-up guy, like literally a stand-up rusher. Played defensive tackle as well. One of the best players on their team. A lot of people said he was the best player on the team.
It was Dade County Player of the Year, right, or Defensive Player of the Year.
So the question with him was more about the body. And I was there with I was with a friend walking through campus, someone who works for UM, and I asked, like, who is that? Because I didn't recognize him just walking down in the street clothes. Like, oh, it's Dalen Russell, and he looked much, much bigger, more physical. So he's a guy that I think is, again, maybe Artavius Jones, probably more physically gifted as far as the athletic stuff and just being naturally big and strong, power lifter in high school. Whereas I think Dalen Russell is somebody who, once the body kind of hit, the player was already there.
45, 50 pounds, man, since he left high school. So the huge gains there. And I think you said it best earlier in the summer when we were talking about Russell. He's the type of guy that South Florida player who goes to you saw Kalijah Cansey at Pitt. You saw, I don't think it's going to be to that extent. I don't think he's a future first-round pick, but you saw Kalijah Cansey go to Pitt. You've seen guys go to Louisville over the years.
And he's bigger than Cansey.
Yeah, he is. But I'm just saying
that type. He was a Louisville, Nebraska, were the two teams that he chose.
Cansey was like 280, high 270s at the combine. I want to say I'll look that up, but yeah, he's bigger than that. But my point is, year 3 or 4, you forget about those guys, and then they're popping up at one of these schools, and you're like, man, that guy's a good player. We need some D tackles. Why isn't he here? And again, I think he can be a valuable part of your rotation moving forward here. It's a position that there's going to be injuries as well because of the physical nature of it, and he's worked himself into a mix here where he can be a contributor.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to see what he can do. Micah Newton, another one we didn't name because he missed spring with an injury. There's a guy from Newberry, Florida, really athletic, productive player, but they need to put on some weight. Strong kid that didn't have a bad body at all. He was actually quite lean in high school. He just needed to actually just put pounds on, put body armor on, put some weight on. And that process is going well. I think the injury might have set him back a little bit, but he's shown some flashes as well. So, throw him into the mix as a talented defensive tackle. So this is a group that, again, you don't want injuries. I don't think anybody in the country, no one wants injuries, period. But I think most teams in the country are kind of holding their breath that their top 3 defensive tackles don't get hurt. Notre Dame is a team that's going, Notre Dame has a similar issue with probably less high-end talent at defensive tackle than we have. And they don't want to see any of those guys go down. So far, so good. Got to stay healthy there. I think there's some young talent on the way up. And I think there's guys with versatility that can really help.
I want to hit this one question or comment real quick, D, from Bucks of Plenty Gaming, saying D lineman reclassifying never ends well. Really, we kept hearing about Nigel Lee Kelly's age, and he could never turn it on. Wish Blunt didn't reclassify. I gotta say, I said this on the show last year. That was a slight concern for me as well. But I think it's a case by case basis. What are these guys' mentality? What's the work ethic like when you get there? Armando Blunt has put in a tremendous amount of work, and he didn't hit the portal. I think what happens is a lot of guys, when they reclassify, they're expecting to play year 1. And even though Blunt didn't play a whole lot last year, was in the weight room, was impressing in practice a lot. And he did the work he needed to do where now he's in a real position to play. And he's essentially a redshirt freshman. I don't think you're going to have 3 more years of him. You'll probably have a couple more years of him. But my point is, like, it all depends on the kid. And with him, I have no real concerns about that. If anything, it becomes a huge advantage because now he's been in the system for a year. And like, if he stayed in high school and came in this year, he would be nowhere near where he is right now, ready to go.
No, and he's still only 18 years old, which is the good part about it. Is like he's still so young, he's so talented. But I just think it was a situation where there was nothing left for him to do. I mean, he already graduated valedictorian, reclassifying. So not only did he have the credits to graduate, he was the valedictorian. But he had 14 sacks as a senior, as a junior, 10 games. What's he going to do? Yeah. He's already a 5-star. So, like, from his standpoint, high school was too easy academically and athletically. So he was kind of ready for that next step. I agree with you, Pete. It kind of depends on the kid. Malachi Tony's one that reclassified, different position, but I think he's going to be ready to rock and roll. Mentally, he is like elite. So I think those guys that are mentally at the top shelf, which a lot of these guys are, those are the ones that, whether they reclass or not, those are the ones you just kind of bet on to figure it out, because I always talk about the mental part of this, and people probably roll their eyes, but there's a reason I do, especially when it comes to playing early. You can be the best athlete in the world. You can be the biggest guy in the world, but the mental is mostly what's going to determine who gets on the field early at this level, where everybody you recruit, especially those 5-star guys, they have the athletic chops. It's more about the mental, and I think Blood had that in spades. Still maniac when it comes to the whistle blowing and try to knock someone's head off, but I think the maturity and the discipline off the field is what allows him to get through that hurdle of reclassing.
Get to this last one real quick before we go to linebacker. 904 Hurricane asking us to compare Justin Scott to Leonard Taylor and Nesta Silvera. I mean, just real quick, Justin Scott's probably about 20 pounds heavier than what Leonard Taylor played at Miami right now. Athletically probably pretty similar in terms of just like burst, get off, and like fluidity and movement, but Scott's way bigger than him. I'll tell you, if you gave Justin Scott some of that Nesta nastiness, you'd have a top 5 pick in the future. Not saying Scott's not nasty, but that was Nesta's special trait. Nesta was a bulldog, and obviously ended up having an awesome last season there at Arizona State. Scott is a different level in terms of his size. Like he's bigger than he is, and that's what I would say is the biggest difference.
No doubt about it. I think those guys are 2 guys in the NFL. It's crazy to say, because you remember them as disappointments given where they were as recruits and what they produced. Obviously, all 5-star players, I understand that comparison. I think Leonard Taylor is going to play a big role for the Jets this year. Undrafted free agent for a reason. He just didn't do well in the post-draft process or pre-draft process. Didn't have a great last year. But I think you're seeing his talent now as an NFL player, where he's going to be part of that Jets rotation on the defensive line. Nesta Silvera's played. He got drafted. I don't know where he's at now. He kind of does some stupid stuff, like on the sidelines.
I think 49ers.
Right. So but Justin Scott, talent-wise, I would put certainly at a higher level than Silvera, just a longer, more talented, bigger, more athletic player. And then with Leonard Taylor, not necessarily more athletic. Leonard Taylor's athleticism is what got him where he was. But I think Scott's similar athleticism and then bigger, just like you said, just more size. So talent-wise, you stack all those 3, which are all the 3 5-star, basically top of the chain defensive tackles. The best one of those talent-wise, in my opinion, would be a Justin Scott.
All right. You have something you want to talk about before we get to linebacker?
Well, hold on. Let's take a couple questions here. So Donaldson's saying, weather's looking like it's going to be a disaster Sunday. How do you think that'll impact gameplay if we're constantly stopping and starting due to lightning? I mean, we got a whole week. Do we really know ahead of time? Is weather that good right now?
That was my initial thought, because as someone who plays golf down here, and I'm always checking the radars, they're not very accurate the day of, or even right when it's happening. But yeah, I don't know. In terms of the game plan, I would probably think that we'd be better equipped than Notre Dame for it, since we're here in South Florida and used to the muggy nature of what it's going to be like down here. But I don't know. That's a tough one to predict.
Yeah, we're at home. I'm not going to predict. I can predict a lot of things with varying degrees of success. Whether I'll leave that one to Brian Norcross. When he is he still alive, Brian? You don't even know who Brian Norcross is.
Yeah, from Hurricane Andrew, I'm aware of who he is. But
I don't know if he's still around. Shout out to Brian Norcross. When Norcross speaks, everybody listens. That was the T-shirt back in the day. I'll tell you right now, what I could use. We're at Duffy, so if you drink alcoholic beverages, they got the full bar for you. I'm gonna talk to them about this, because someone like me who wants a buzz but not necessarily the hangover, we need some buzzing, right? drinkbuzzin.com, TablesandTap.com. 7.5 milligrams, real THC wrapped in bubbles, natural flavors, natural fruit flavors. Want those, that cold feeling on these hot days, that bubbly feeling, but also catching a buzz without waking up with that hangover. Buzzin' is for you. Now in South Florida, we'll announce a lot of retail partnerships and big name liquor stores to be able to get Buzzin'. But until then, drinkbuzzin.com, BUZZN.com. I just got a whole crate delivered to my house. I'm still waiting on them. Checking the mail every day, ready for that. Once you see that, you'll see me on the show drinking some of these. We'll be talking. Especially when you get heated on one of those mic shows, which got more feedback on that mic show than any show we've ever done on Wednesday. It was a major hit. Everybody loved your energy and your juice on that one when you gave your Carson Beck take. If you get a little overheated next time, I'll throw you a Buzzin'. We'll get you back down.
There you go.
So yeah, shout out to Buzzin'. BUZZN. IMAX saying Brian Norcross, a blast from the past. He was the go-to leading up and through Hurricane Andrew. 33rd anniversary this Sunday. There you go. Brian Norcross works for Fox Weather. I watch him every day. Hold on. Canes Cat, man, what do you do? What do you do for a living? Because you're on all of our streams. We appreciate you more than you know. I saw you at the Golden Cane scrimmage. You're at the Golden Cane scrimmage taking notes like a scout for the Seahawks. And then you're on. I know you're on the 247 streams as well, as I see you on there. And you're watching Fox Weather every day. When is there space to live? I know you watch the Cats, the Panthers as well. Where is this space? You watch high school baseball. You're at the top of every recruit for the Miami Hurricanes class of 2028 in baseball. When do you have time to live? That's what I need to know about your lifestyle there, Canes Cat Heat 305. I didn't know you had that Fox Weather in your bag. So let us know. You watch the Fox Weather every day. Let us know the forecast for next Saturday. You got to give us that.
Pedro Roman says he's a Hurricane fan for a living.
Shout out to Canes Cat, man. What a G. We could not do this show without him. But I got to get his job, man. Fox Weather. I don't even know I have Fox Weather on my cable. Hold on, here he goes. He goes, Canes Connection needs to hit up Brian Norcross. He is Fox's highest paid person in everything, even politics. There's no way that's true. There's no way this is true. Brian Norcross.
I don't know, man. He's got the inside info on the Fox pay structure over there.
Seriously, man. What don't you know there? Brian Norcross.
He's Googling it right now.
I'm amazed by this. Here we go.
It's not publicly available.
Not publicly available. Brian Norcross, man. I thought he was dead. I'm glad he's still with us. Here he goes, tracking Hurricane Aaron. So Brian Norcross tracking a Hurricane Aaron. See what's going on here. I didn't expect to be looking this one up today. There you go. Significant coastal danger.
You got to press share this tab instead.
Oh yeah, well I got rid of it. But anyways, shout out to Brian Norcross. When he speaks, everybody listens. All right, so linebacker. Ready to talk about it?
Ready. I
know some people were nervous when you said that Armando Blunt's running fast on some of our linebackers. That was more of a comment on Armando Blunt than our linebackers. We got speed at that position, and really. Top two guys from an experience standpoint. I think the top two guys just in terms of what we have. I am extremely, extremely excited about. Talked a lot about Motore. We're going to talk more about him in a second. I want to start with Wesley Bissant because we both, I think, are fans of Wesley more than maybe people talk about. I think he's maybe being slept on a little bit for a fourth-year player who started a ton of games. He's up to 230 pounds, came here 190. I did the storm sessions with him. Great interview, great kid. He looks 230, right? He's got long arms. He plays bigger than his size. Even when he was 190, he was knocking people around. So the fact that he's now 230, I've seen him in practice straight up thump guys. Sometimes it's thud and you're not supposed to tackle, but just when he gets that pop on you, like Fernando Mendoza found out, he can knock you back. Good speed. I'm not a big PFF guy, but he graded very high in PFF in most categories. I think he's just a solid guy in terms of run, pass. Trying to get him better as a pass rusher. I think that's going to be the big evolution of his game under Corey Heatherman, who loves his linebackers to rush the passer. I think there's still some more meat on the bone in terms of what Wes can do in that front because he does have the size and the length. But just a really, really solid, good player that's been here 4 years, that has played basically since he got here, started I think his third year starting now here, and has a chance to be an NFL linebacker.
Yeah, and honestly, as Bucks of Plenty Gaming brings a comment here saying, how are we supposed to believe in Wes if the coaches keep bringing in linebackers to compete with him? That's kind of what I was going to get at is like he's won this job now, it looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, he's stood up to the competition and still been one of the best guys. So I think it says a lot about him, and he's continued to progress. And I think, and I told you this yesterday, D, like, I think as Canes fans, we have a nostalgic image of what a Canes linebacker should be doing on the field. When, like, you know, Kiko didn't have a great year last year, but Kiko is a darn good linebacker. There's a reason he was a 5th round pick in the NFL, right?
Off a bad year.
Off a bad year,
with the
right?
System, yeah.
So I think we are tough on the linebacker sometimes. Wesley has been inconsistent, but I think from day one, the question with him is, can he get big enough? Is he ever going to be a 235, 240 pound linebacker?
He's 230 right now.
He's big enough,
Yeah.
man. Like he's not going to look like a predator out there, but he's looking darn good. He's can run, right? And yes, again, lanky. He's not going to be someone that, if he gets isolated one-on-one with a back, is going to look clunky necessarily. I think you could say play recognition, just doing what he's supposed to do and playing his role on a specific play, not trying to do too much. Like, that's something that's been talked about to me. Like, I've talked to people inside that in the past, maybe he's done that, but I think now in this system, things have been simplified for him and for the linebackers as a whole, and he should have a solid year. He's a legit draft prospect. He's a legit later round draft prospect right now, again, because he's going to run really solidly. And, you see the thumping showing up on film.
Good character guy, too. I mean, all that stuff, the experience. I always say this, like, people think about the portal. First of all, look, Ruben Bain was the best freshman in the country. We brought in Tyler Barron. We brought in Elijah Alston. OJ Frederick was the best freshman corner in the country, or one of two. We still brought in Xavier Lucas, Ethan O'Connor, all these guys. So you bring in the players, especially positions where two guys play, it's not quarterback. You bring in as much talent as you can and make this thing the right way. So I wouldn't read that into that when it comes to Wesley. I think he is going to be the starter. He's earned that. I think that's what kind of caliber player he is. And I always remind people of this. Everybody loves the transfer portal. No, I mean, we love the transfer portal, right? We do shows on the portal all the time. Me and Pete follow the portal not just for the Canes, but for other teams as well. We covered like most of those portal additions. If Wesley would have jumped in the portal last year, he would have had top programs lining up to pay him big money, right? The guys with that resume and that skill set have a lot of value on the open market. Luckily, we're able to keep him here in Miami. I think he's going to have a very, very good year. But sometimes I think with guys that we're just used to, maybe we're saying, I wish they were doing this, I wish they were doing that. Like, just think, like Mark Fletcher. People complain about Mark Fletcher sometimes. They're like, oh, he doesn't, I want to see him breaking more 70-yard runs or whatever, juking more people out, whatever people say about him. If Mark Fletcher would have been a free agent, you think Ohio State would have been lining up to get that guy, or Texas, or I guess Texas got a couple guys, but certainly Ohio State, Alabama. I mean, they would have been writing giant checks for this guy. So sometimes we've got the guys that we've been watching for a long time. I think we take them for granted sometimes. I think this is a guy that we are very happy to have him as an experienced player who's played and been developed, and now in a very good system with very good tools. I'm excited to see Wesley the same.
And we'll get through all these guys here. Bucks of Plenty Gaming doesn't seem to like the portal. He says, what about Bobby Washington, Bobby Pruitt, and Popo? Bringing Kamal Bonner does what? Then we have Wiley. The room is crowded. Look, we're big fans of Bobby Washington, but he's coming off a severe knee injury, hopefully getting him back here, early part of the season, back to full contact, and later part of the year as a special teams guy. Bobby Pruitt has a ton of versatility. He's going to play a lot. Popo played a lot last year before he got injured. I think at the end of the day, you're trying to raise the level of that room, man. I don't see the issue with bringing in more guys. Kamal Bonner, who will be in the mix too, has multiple years of eligibility. So I think when you look at some of these additions, and we've spoken at length about Wiley, like we're pumped up about him. We'll talk about him more here, but the fact that you get multiple years out of a Kamal Bonner is a huge thing for me, because it's more like a high school addition than a 1-year rental.
Oh yeah, look, there's a lot of guys we'll get to here. You did a nice job walking to the room, but before we move off the starters,
I like Shane the Canes says crowded rooms are a good thing. It's way better than the opposite, man. Listen, we got people complaining about crowded rooms. It's a great thing,
especially a linebacker. I think a linebacker overall, we talked about it in one of these recent shows. Linebacker is a position that I feel much better about now here, August 22nd, than I did maybe in, March. I think there's a very, very good, certainly top of the ACC type room. Pittsburgh's going to be the team that you talk about because they have two all ACC players. Clemson's got 2 players with height, but I think with Torrey and Wesley Saints, we're right there in that conversation, man. I think we're going to be in good shape at that position. Question from Canes for Life. Are you concerned about West getting bullied by Jeremiah Love's size in the open field? Not the size. Wesley Saints 15 pounds, 16 pounds heavier than Jeremiah Love, and he packs a punch. I'm worried about Jeremiah Love in the open field, period. If you have Ray Lewis out there, because when he gets in the open field, I mean, he's fast, so he can cause a lot of problems. He is tough for his size. Jeremiah Love is not a soft running back at all, even though his thing is really more of the dynamic play. But I don't think size is going to – we're going to have much more of a size advantage over their linebackers. Their linebackers are big, too. There's nothing wrong. Their linebackers are good. But we just – with our size is what they have to deal with. We have to deal more with their speed, I think, and just their ability to make big plays than necessarily the size that they're bringing out. We are the bigger team from a running back standpoint than Notre Dame.
Yeah. So we talked about Wes.
We got a question from Free Factor Cards, which I think is going to transition you right here, Pete.
D and Pete, who are the most vocal leaders on the team? Well, I would say Mo Torre has come in and asserted himself on that side. Well, I would say Carson Beck definitely on the other side of the ball is a vocal guy. But no, man, Mo Torre is coming in from Rutgers. We've talked a ton about him coming off these knee injuries. Has been moving well. I think if you take the injury stuff out of the equation as an NFL type linebacker, and it sounds different when those pads pop with him.
Looks different, sounds different. He can run. I've not seen any. I mean, I know he's been injured, but it's not like you see it really when he's running around. I mean, he's moving great. He's a sideline player. Also 1,000, by the way. Like and subscribe to this show. We're bringing this multiple times. We're doing 2 times a day today. It's 2 a days. We're trying to bring as much content as you can. You got basketball coming up on the back end here. So like and subscribe if you're a Canes fan. If you're not, what are you doing, man? We're on every single day bringing it. The chat's going crazy. So I don't notice any issue with his speed. He looks fast to me. He's been the leading pass rusher, sack artist on Rutgers every year that he was healthy. Coach Heatherman, the defensive coordinator, obviously has a relationship with him from Rutgers. That's what allowed him to come to Miami. I said this anecdote on a prior podcast, but there was a break during one of these sessions, and Heatherman, who was a quarterback in college, was just throwing passes to Torre, and Torre was just catching them, working on his hands, working on his interceptions. So this guy's constantly working, has a very close relationship with Heatherman. Class of 2019. 2019, that's how old he is. That's how old he is. Cam Kitchens was class of 2021. This guy's 2 classes older than Cam Kitchens, who has been starting in the NFL for a year. So very, very experienced player, very physically developed player. He looks like $1 million. I mean, he is jacked. He can run, he can rush the passer, smart, vocal leader like we talked about at the top. Mo Torre and Wesley Saints. You think about experience, versatility, speed, just looking good in pads. You know what I mean? Like looking like the right way, not like Deshaun Troutman or Corey Flagg or some of the guys we had didn't have the size for many years. I think they're top of the chain. I'm not going to say it's John Vilma and DJ Williams, but they're both first-round picks. But in terms of just like going around college football and having a legitimate pair of linebackers, I think Miami has that on top of the depth that we're going to talk about right here.
Yeah, Torre, you mentioned the pass rushing ability too. I heard they have Heatherman's going to do some wild stuff, but like they're not afraid to line him up over the center sometimes. Like they're going to do some interesting stuff with him, man.
Appreciate you, Pedro. He says, like you guys are going live almost daily. Well, definitely daily, almost twice daily. But yeah, appreciate it daily and keeping genuine Canes news up. Appreciate you, Pedro. Appreciate you in the chat, man. Always bringing those great contributions. George Y saying our defense will be top 15 in the nation. It's possible, man. I used the Manny Diaz comparison where he came to replace D'Onofrio, and the same players, the same talented players, went from like a pathetic defense that was one of the worst in the country to top 15 one year to the next. Green Tree All-American asked, "Would you consider Torre an alpha?" For sure. And he's just older, so like he's done it. He has respect in that fashion. Yeah. He has the Heatherman knowledge, so people know he knows the defense. He could probably defeat most of these guys in physical combat. You know, he's the biggest guy, the strongest guy, so there's that element as well. So I think overall, you know, he's like Brian Norcross, man. When he speaks, you listen. So you mentioned the depth. I'll kind of pick up where you left off. Some of the guys, Pope Aguirre, we don't talk enough about him in the show, but someone that we like. We've done a bunch of interviews with him. rock solid, played last year, has a knack for those big plays, whether it's just picking up a fumble, interceptions. He just has that nose for the big play. I could see him making one of those dynamic plays this year that you say, like, kind of like a Tracer Bandy pick, where you're like, oh, remember that Popo Aguirre fumble?
He had that play against Louisville last year.
He does that, man. He does that in practice. That's kind of his knack. Well-rounded guy that we had to beat Georgia for, Alabama for, Ohio State for, entering his third year, so he's experienced. Popo is going to be a factor on this team, and I'm excited to see what he looks like in this defense once the games start. Kamal Bonner, you mentioned the transfer from NC State, who NC State thought he was their best defensive player towards the end of the year. Multiple years of eligibility. I believe he was a redshirt freshman last year for NC State, so I think he's coming to us with multiple years. Definitely multiple years, but maybe even 3, maybe at least 2.
I think 3. I think he was a redshirt freshman last year,
Yeah,
so that would be technically he would have his redshirt sophomore, redshirt junior, redshirt senior years if he wants them.
So at least 2 for him, or at least 3 for him. Or sorry, 3 for him. He can rush the passer. He can get in the backfield. With him, he's doing very well. Got here in summer. I think he's somebody that, like, maybe by the middle of the season, his reps just kind of go up and up and up. And by the middle of the season, he's one of the key guys on this defense. I could see that trajectory for him, and you'll see him right away as well. But slithery, likes to get in the backfield. Big, not motory big, but definitely has size. But really, to me, it's just that slithery kind of sense for getting in the backfield, getting tackled for loss, getting sacks. That to me is what Bonner really brings to the table.
Yeah, I think that he's going to play a role. He's going to be definitely in the mix there, and you want him to build on what he did at NC State last year. You know, I think probably you're going to see less reps than he did at NC State, so you always wonder how that kind of affects guys. You know, being able to play when they're not out there every down, kind of like we saw with Jalen Alderman last year, right? So that would be my question with it. But the fact that you get multiple years with this guy is exciting.
As we talk about the depth, you know, you mentioned Jalen Alderman. Jalen Alderman is still here. Guy who started in the ACC championship game for Louisville on a good defense. He's still here, second year in the system. So you got Alderman. You got Chase Smith, who's now entering his 4th year at the University of Miami. Big, one of the strongest guys, tall, got really one of those look-the-part guys. He's one of those guys. New system with Heatherman. So you got 2 guys that are very old and experienced and physically mature. And in Alderman's case, he's played a lot of real big-time ACC football. And these guys are depth guys we're not even talking about. I think they're going to play a big role. But just it shows you that this is a team that has more depth at linebacker than probably they've ever had. I'm very bullish on this position as far as I don't think people are talking about just how deep and good it is compared to years past. Freshmen, people always ask about. Bobby Washington is still rehabbing. He's going to have a chance to play this year. You reported that on the work on your Discord, right? Maybe a month ago. You know, Darius Hayes, someone asked about his legal situation. I'm told the situation is he's going to play until someone says not for him not to play. No one said that, so he's out there playing and working hard. Who else we got out there? Kellen Wiley, the freshman who we talk about a lot on the show. His dad's always in the chat. I've heard first-round talent with him. Got him from Texas there at the last minute. 6'4", 240 almost. Can run like the wind. A true linebacker, not like a pass rusher you're trying to convert. Can intercept the ball. He's done that in high school, done that in camp. Sideline to sideline, big hitter. Just a very, very talented overall player who's going to make a big impact on this team. Bobby Pruitt, someone asked about him. I think he's someone you can put in that safety room too, just because of what he does from that versatility standpoint. And has the size of a big safety, let's say, but you can't put him in the box and do those things. But I think in that safety, he's showing that he can do more athletic things than just a straight linebacker. You'd probably put him further away from the ball.
Well, and you're probably going to have 2 off-ball linebackers out there, you know, most plays. And then you could, like you said, that's a way you get a 3rd guy into the mix there, maybe putting him at a safety spot. But it's also positionless with this defense, right?
This defense, I'm excited. Lose Mountain knows it's a tough loss, but I think this linebacking group is going to be the best one we've seen since Shaq and Pickney. You know, probably their senior year. Mm-hmm. Best since then, and deeper than that group. That group had 2 great ones up top with Shaq and Pickney. McLeod kind of a tweener linebacker at the end. Beyond that, it wasn't as good. Mike Smith gave you some good snaps. But I think the depth in this group is better than that group. But that's the best one. And we'd have to go back to 2019, Manny's first year. I think he had those guys. So Motoria's already in college at that point.
Mhm.
I didn't get to go back there. So that's like, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I mean, you're going back, almost 6-7 years for that kind of production. So very good group. I'm excited to see what they do.
Ezekiel Marcelin.
Ezekiel Marcelin, young player, been nicked up. He's working his way in. He's a smart guy. He's gonna have a chance to be a good player for the Canes. But I know what you've been really waiting to talk about this whole time.
The Slovakian sniper. He's arrived. Timotej Malovic, Canes Hoops player, he's here, man. He got here last night. You will have the Turkish delight Saleh Altuntaj. He will be arriving next week. So now you have Noam Dovrat. You have Timotej Malovic, both here already in terms of the Euros, with Saleh coming in next week. But, we can't play the video here, D, because it's going to be copyright from FIBA, because our guys are playing in big-time FIBA World Cup events now, and this is the
grown
senior
men,
team.
Full arenas.
Yeah, this is the senior team, and again, I can't show it, but if you guys go to our Twitter account, we retweeted it this morning, and I'm going to read you the tweet from Arman Jovic from PDT Scouting. He says 6'8" Miami freshman Timotej Malovic had an unbelievable World Cup qualifiers for Slovakia. This is the averages: 22.6 points per game, 7.8 rebounds per game, 1.5 assists per game, 44.4% from the field, but then 44.8% from three on 7.3 attempts per game. And you guys have to watch the tape that we put out. A lot of these are step back 3-point shots. Like it was not catch and shoot stuff. He was initiating the offense, as Arman Jovic says here. Says Timo rarely, and that's what he goes by, Timo, rarely has played the primary guard role in his career. However, these past 4 games, he consistently operated the offense for Slovakia. Remarkable shot maker, especially from 3, and the drawing fouls, as we talked about before, show almost 7 attempts per game, 92.7% from the free throw line. I think this guy's going to start for Miami this year. Maybe not like initially because he just got here, but this might end up being the best player on the team.
That was shocking, the film. And we retweeted on CanesInSight on our Twitter account. So if you're not following us on X, Twitter, whatever, I still call it Twitter, follow it there. 92% from the line. I'm a big believer in free throw percentage. It's one of my favorite stats because that shows to me your pure touch. So he's there. He gets to the line, which is another one of my favorite stats, because if you get to the line, you're hard to cover and you are just smart around the basket. Physically, he looks leaner than he did on his earlier film, but he's still a big guy. He's not going to have a weight issue at the ACC level. The shot looks great. He's hitting step backs. He's taking 7 attempts a game with older players. So if older players let you shoot 7, I don't care for Slovakia. If you are allowed to shoot 7 attempts per game with older professional players,
that was against other national teams,
right?
Too. So.
No, I'm saying, like, if your teammates let you do it, your coach lets you do it, that means you can really shoot. It's a lot of faith that's being shown. So he's gonna have we've been looking for the shooter on this team. I think he'll do that, but he's gonna do that plus all the other stuff. It's gonna be interesting seeing these foreign guys, because it's like they're all different, right? So people say, like, oh, these guys, we got 3 Euros. It's not really that simple. I mean, they're from different countries. They're from different regions.
We did get 3 Euros.
Well, I mean, we got one guy from Turkish, which is a Muslim country. We got one guy from Israel, which is a Jewish country. We got one guy from Central Europe and Slovakia.
Listen, I told you this before. my when it comes to the European, talking about the European countries and sports, I always go by the soccer and the basketball, and they're in the European. That's true. They're in the European competition, so they're Euros.
I'm just saying, it's a very eclectic team. It's not just like we got like 3 guys that all know each other. So it's going to be interesting.
And they weren't
real
here.
International flavor, different languages. It's a different type of team. So I'm excited to see. Now these guys are here, like you said, coming straight from a very intense level of competition. It's going to be cool to see how they blend together, kind of how they all fit. Kane's got saying, we got Eastern Europeans. My friend, I don't know if you have access to a map, but take a look at Slovakia, which is Central Europe, Turkey, and Israel, and where those places are at.
Let me try to find this picture from this morning, though. I like this stuff, and I've seen a lot of this with new strength and conditioning coach Zach Zillner. This is what the basketball team was doing this morning.
Were they running? They're running on the track.
They were running the track at UM. Let me pull this up right here. So this is from Andrew Moran.
You can't span you says you thought Pete was in Spain on vacation. That boy was recruiting.
Dude, I was trying to go to some youth league games to spot some talent, but I couldn't find anything. But yeah, so here they were this morning running the track. You can't really see here, but all the way back here, I believe Timote is going. I don't think he's going through the same workout as these guys since he landed last night. But he's all the way back here. But you see these guys. Look at Trey Donaldson. He's a big boy. But yeah, man, this is going to be a physically imposing team. I saw they were running the Key Biscayne Bridge not too long ago to kind of put a wrap on their summer work before they went for a little break, and now they're back, man. I'm very excited about this team. Someone asked how good I think this team can be. You know, asking about the floor and the ceiling. Malovic's shooting is giving me a lot more confidence than I had maybe 3 days ago, because that's going to continue to be the thing, the floor spacing with this team. You're going to need Noam Dovrat from Israel to be another guy who shoots the ball well, because you're really putting all your eggs in that basket in terms of the shooting. I think Trey Donaldson's going to take a big leap percentage-wise. It keeps being told to me that he's a shot maker, that like the percentages don't necessarily reflect his ability on the offensive end. And he's going to be someone who's running the show for this team this year. So pumped up, man. I know we've been talking a lot about basketball here. So, of course, wanted to remind you guys that all the basketball coverage is brought to you by Aries Law. Check out AriesLawPA.com. Yes, this is my dad, guys. He specializes in corporate law, probate, wills, and trusts. Plan your future so others don't. This is not something that we like to talk about, but you need to get it done. You need to get this stuff set in case of emergency, man. So Aries Law, schedule your free consultation. You can do it online, over the phone, whatever. You can do it in person here in Miami. So check it out, Aries Law.
26 says, Jan Vesely could have been great in a better situation. Pete, I thought Jan Vesely, who I believe is from Slovakia, or he's from Czech Republic? So he's from the other. He used to be Czechoslovakia, kind of split in half. So he's from the other side. So good comp actually. But I think with him, he went to EuroLeague and he was like a EuroLeage first teamer 3 times. Well, listen, so he was better in a better situation.
He's with the scumbag organization Barcelona now. So
I see.
So I'm not in on it.
But yeah, man, it's I'm excited. I was playing with some. Just like what will be the starting lineups this morning when we were talking about this. So let me drop one on you. Tell me what you think. And there's different guys that are going to be the mix here. So this is just one potential permutation of it. Trey Donaldson. And this may not first game, but like when it's all said and done. Trey Donaldson. Henderson at shooting guard, which is one of the biggest shooting guards we've ever had, strength-wise. Mm-hmm. The Slovakian sniper at small forward. And then Uday and Renaud.
You can defend, man. That lineup's going to defend. I haven't seen enough of Malovich, but I think with the other guys, you can kind of make up for that. But
size is crazy.
And by the way, I've seen him listed as 6'9" too. He looks legit. Like that size looks real. It's not. They're not giving him a couple inches there. So,
yeah, man. It's going to be an interesting squad. The size, just the versatility that they bring to the table. So. I'm very, very optimistic on kind of where they could go, but we got to see how the blending is, because there's a lot. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of alphas. This practice are going to be physical, man. Because all these guys like to be physical. They like to play defense. These I call them Europeans. These international players are coming straight from very intense competition. So I'm sure they're going to come in thinking they can just take over the ACC. They've been playing with grown men. Mm-hmm. Those practices, Pete, are going to be must-see TV.
Yeah.
They might bring out the shoulder pads like Tom Izzo used to do for those.
Yeah, they are. They're ready to go. Henderson has put in a lot of work. I'm hearing he's put on like 10 to 15 good pounds. 10 pounds for sure, but I think it might be more than that now at this point. And once he gets that confidence going, he's going to be a real problem, man. This team, I didn't really answer the question in terms of ceiling or floor, but this team's winning 20 games this year as a floor. I'm like I don't see this being a team that's winning 15 games. This is a 20-win team at the floor, I think.
And like Keontae George, I'm just going back to that example, was probably, as far as like minutes, is probably the UM player that's had the most minutes to start his career. Worst team in the league, but he's played a lot. We remember
You call him Keontae George, Keyshawn George.
Keyshawn George.
Keontae George is the
guard
kid for Utah from Baylor. Yeah.
Sorry, Keyshawn George. If I didn't have you, I'd be a disaster. Keyshawn George. Do you remember his first game? We went to it. He had like 4 points, and we did a post-game show right after. Said this guy's going to be an NBA player, and it ended up happening sooner than later. Different ages, because I think the Slovakian sniper is older.
Yeah, he's like 2 years older than maybe what he's 21, and Keyshawn came when he was like 19.
More productive on his own national team than George was, I think. George was Swiss national, right? Even though he was he spoke French, he's a Swiss national. I guess they speak French too. But I could see a situation like this where you go see Malovich first game, and you're like, this guy's the best pro prospect on the team.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying that kind of situation wouldn't shock me, even though he didn't get all that hype. Like the guy my guy Yakachonis, who went to Miami Heat, he kind of came into college basketball. Everybody knew he was going to be a prospect real fast. Lauri Markkanen was one. I remember when he came into Arizona, everybody kind of knew he'd be a one-and-done big prospect. Sometimes these international guys, it takes a game or two, and then people are like, whoa, this guy's like a lottery pick. Keyshawn George, not a lottery pick, but it was kind of similar to that, where he became an NBA prospect very quick. I could see that with the Slovakian sniper if he plays anything like what we saw in these highlights.
Yep. Agreed. Delane asking if he says, does you have a soccer team? Maybe a dumb question, but I got asked. There's a women's team, and as I said in the comment here, they won their home opener yesterday at Cobb Stadium 4-0 against FAU. Should be a rising program here. I think they were top 25 at points last year. But yeah, should be a good team this year.
Happy Friday. We're going to like and subscribe to the show. We'll be doing our next show, I think, from the team store. Definitely will be at the team store 4 to 5 p.m. today, Friday, August 22nd, right next to school, right next to the Thesis Hotel, Mario Cristobal, live and in person, Miami Hurricane teams. So you got to be there. Use promo code INSIGHT20, get 20% off. Shout out to Jeremy. Shout out to Harry. Shout out to the whole crew. I'll be out there. Thank you for tuning in. Like and subscribe to the channel. Go Canes.
Go Canes.